All right, welcome in, guys. Hope you guys have been having like a great week so far. Midterms are close, and we have like the finals. If you guys also have like one more midterm, but let's get started. So we have a very interesting topic for today's workshop: building your own AI agent. We all have heard about like AI agents. What are AI agents? And it's been a very hot topic recently. Today, we also have Luan. He's a campus ambassador from Simplify. So at the end of the workshop, we'll be giving out free Simplify subscription. We'll be having like a Kahoot quiz based on what we talk about today in the workshop. And then we'll be giving out some Simplify Plus subscriptions. All right, guys, let's get started. I think I'm already loud enough, so I'll probably turn off the mic. It goes in the live stream. All right, let's talk about AI agents. All of us might have already, heard AI agents or the term in some way or the other. Over the past few, past few weeks, past few months specifically, we have seen Google introducing all these cool technologies to talk about AI agents. But specifically, like, what does agents mean? On like what the term AI agents mean? Talk about AI agents, we can think of something like, let's say we have an agent or a concierge service provided to us by our bank or by credit card services. We ask these agents to do work on our behalf. Let's say we have a trip to travel to, like we are planning a trip, we are traveling somewhere, and we have a travel agent. We reach out to them to book like a nice itinerary for us, book like a cruise trip, or like nice vacation to the beach. So that's what an agent does. In the exact same way, AI agents operate. So what AI agents basically do is, they're powered by these large language models. All of us know what large language models are: ChatGPT or like Gemini. Today we'll be using Vertex AI, using which you can use like Gemini, and we will be building this one thing, CampusGPT. It's ASU AI powered agent, which is quite smart, and like you can pre-feed data and then you can ask questions and you can automate your tasks using it. All right. Already given like a brief introduction about the term AI agent, but talking about some more specifics. What does it even like do? So AI agents perform these microservices on our behalf. Like you can ask an AI agent to like summarize a text for you. We have used Quillbots for like as paraphrasing services, or like these AI summarizers. We partnered with Perplexity before. We have been using Perplexity to like put all these notes and presentations, and it summarizes the data for us. But that's not exactly what AI agent does. So the workflow of AI agent versus like a normal large language model is very different. A large language model is pre-trained on this huge set of data, versus AI agent is very specific. You can understand it more as like a small language model. That's also a completely different term, but it's very key factored, and it's very genuine to its purpose. Like it won't, like if you're giving some prompts to a LLM, it may hallucinate, or it may give you, like it may hither from the way and give you some other responses. AI agent doesn't really do that. Talking about what's like the specific key terms about like AI agents, like the tech terms. As we can see, it's like a self-directed, software entity that carries out tasks autonomously. What do we mean by autonomously? Like tasks that are being carried out specifically on the basis of our request. We request these tasks to be carried out, but these tasks are being carried out for a very specific purpose. Google released this thing in Google Cloud Next 2024, the Agent Development Kit, and it has been a very hot topic in the market since then. There's this one code base provided by Google where you can go and refactor the code, and it just has like tons of lines. You just refactor the code, and you can have it's set to a very specific purpose. They also released this one important feature using the agent development kit where they're offering no code tools. Like you just go there, type in that you need a very specific AI agent catered to your category, you will get that agent. You don't even need to code, which is very smart. But again, most of us over here are learning how to code, and some of the things are not going to get replaced. Like for example, systems engineering, some very specific topics will still be there for some time. And talking about that, we still need to know how to code and how we can make these custom AI agents which are powered for our needs. Why AI agents matter? So this is actually a very interesting topic. AI agents, we already talked about, they automate our tasks, they cater to our needs, and they are pre-trained on these specific large language models. But what do they do? So as it says, integrate seamlessly with APIs and databases and external tools. Most of us are aware of what APIs are, application programming interface. So using APIs, we can call these AI agents. For example, a very simple example of that would be most of us over here have used Slack. I was talking to a friend of mine, and he said that how he linked the Gemini, and like he catered a very specific AI agent because he travels a lot to conferences and stuff. So using Slack and using Gemini, his calendar is linked, and it just sends him like a regular weather update. I was like, okay, that's very cool. You can have all these personalized cater AI agents which are offering you services which probably at a time you have to like Google it, and like now you're getting them done without without really asking for them. Very easy example of that would also be Alexa. Alexa sends like weather updates. You can make like a small AI agent if you go in like the Amazon Alexa app, and you can create these customizations where you add these things like just give me weather updates or like announce them at like 7 in the morning at some particular time. So that's like some very specific use cases of AI agents. Degrees of agentic behavior. Coming on to the next slide. This is actually quite important. So AI agents have like these specific degrees. If we look on this slide over here, we see like a knowledge graph, like the small little picture over here. We can see there are like certain queries over here. We can see like all these messaging query systems, and like it's all linked together. So what are the real degrees of agentic behavior? Like until what does it really extend? So very reactive. A single LLM call, you can ask for like classification, you can ask for summarization, or a simple Q&A. Or you can, like have it very tool enabled, like an LLM, like large language model, and then you are calling certain functions or having, like API invocations. For example, your search or your calculator. I think last year, Apple launched this one cool feature. There was this one thing, you use your iPad and you write these functions over there, and it just makes graphs over there. That's a very like simple example of knowledge-based graphs. Like that's how these things really operate. Like there's a whole system behind that, and there's like certain queries being processed, your requests being processed in real time. some of the like degrees are like one of the very simple degrees like autonomous. So it's like again multi-step planning, like loop. You generate a plan, executes tools, and like evaluate results on your behalf. And it's like self-improving. So I think most of us already know, or if we saw in the news yesterday, uh, OpenAI released GPT o 04, and you can use o 04 Mini High. Uh, Actually, 3 months ago, I was using o 04 Mini High for this one specific machine learning task. I would say more than 70% of the time it used to fail. Like I used to create these test cases for this one program and then really used to perform pretty well. Yesterday, I just gave it a try exceedingly, like it passed more than 77% of the test cases. If we get time, I'll show you at the end of the workshop. If we get time, I'll show you that program. But it's quite interesting. Like in 3 months, we have come to this one way where, like these are all self-improving. And since all these AI agents are powered by LLMs, since the LLM is self-improving, these are also self-improving. The more raw data you feed, the more raw information we put in, it's it's self-improved. That's also one of the reasons you might have seen in the news that OpenAI is trying to create its own Twitter because they need data. The Ghibli trend is like it's a very simple example of that. They need more data to train their models on. That's why they're doing all this stuff around there. All right, coming to the next slide, types of AI agents. Uh, this slide has quite much data, but if you let me put that on the left side so you guys can read. Sorry about that. So, how many of us over here have used, these travel websites like Expedia and there's this one website, the hotels.com and all these websites. Over the past 1 year, these websites have been, I would say, they have become quite useful. Earlier, if you have to, like do like a cancellation or like have to make any changes in your booking, you have to call them and then it's very tedious. They put you on hold and then you have to like wait for a real agent. Now you just put it over there. There's like a very small, kind of like a text box. Just click on that. And all of them are basically AI agents. So there's no real human talking to you over there. It's a potential danger to the people working in customer care service, eventually it's taking some jobs, but it's connect if you have like a very important doubt, which like the AI cannot really answer by itself. Like you have to make certain changes for a flight company, which doesn't really allow changes, or like the refund policy has been passed by. So obviously, a human has to process these things. But that's a very real time example of having like a conversational agent. Data analysis agents. I've been seeing these really cool things online. People have been making these tools using Python and Google Colab. You can have these machine learning production like prediction models, like who's gonna win the Super Bowl. People were doing all these cool things on YouTube. Okay, there are Eagles are gonna win it, or like I was like, okay, this is quite cool. Like at the same time, you can predict, but it's getting like it's like fetching real time data, and how precise it has become over the past few weeks and like the past few months. It's quite interesting because if you like feed the data like 2 years ago, like when they were just introduced, or like when like ChatGPT was a hot take in the market, it wasn't really that precise. So it's quite interesting. As we mentioned, self-improving. Generative agents. We all have used generative agents. ChatGPT has been offering the free Ghibli trend. Even if we are not Plus users, I think we can generate up to 3 images a day or something. If I'm accurate about that. And then there's like multi-agent systems. So this coordinate teams of like specialized agents to tackle complex distributed problems. Multi-agent systems, they can be used for, you can train these certain agents for like like distributed network systems, or for like querying these tasks. Obviously is that's a very complex knowledge and it requires certain specialization. Not everyone can do that. but it can, like query the data. If you have like a very large set of raw data, it can help you with that. And then adaptive agents, like these feedback loops and fine tuning. There's this one course on Coursera. I think I was looking. There's this one particular person. He teaches how to create these AI agents within 3.5 hours, and you can create your own AI agent, which is like very adaptive. And then you teach it about you basically pre-feed information about your calendar. You give it your Google Calendar, access to your calendar, and then it's like, okay, you took certain amount of time to complete this one particular task. Then you should, start pre-planning your task. It's a very interesting take on AI agents. Real world use cases. Since we have already been discussing about, most of the real world use cases, you might have seen this one thing with Adobe. If anyone of us over here has used Adobe Creative Cloud Suite, there's this one function that they introduced, like these automated research assistant. The Adobe Acrobat already offers that. You can, like parse information. You upload a PDF and you can parse information. There have been some online tools that have been doing that already. But what it does better now is, you can have all these really nice tables, because earlier it didn't really used to parse the information from a table. It couldn't really get to know that if it's like a task, or if it's, like if it's like a table, or if it's just like a text. What it used to hallucinate in the past. But what we can do right now is, you can have all these tables and you can put in your data, and you get you get these automated research assistants. Travel planning agents. Again, I gave the example of hotels.com. We can use hotels.com for, planning our travel. You can go to these AI agents. I think there's this one website by this Indian company. I'm not sure if you guys all know about it, but it's known as makemytrip.com. Back when I was at home, I used to, just like browse on it. Then they used to have these really cool new features. I really loved their UI. And I was taking like a quick look at their website like a few days ago, and they have this amazing thing. You just go in there, put in like, this is your budget for your next trip, and what country passport you hold, and on the basis of that, it recommends you your next trip. Like you would need a visa or you wouldn't, or just in case you have to go to a certain country or like a certain place for like 2 weeks, and this is your required budget. What will be the best weather? What will be the best time of the year to basically visit that place? And then we have these, chat ops agents, basically interacts with GitHub, and like where secured service accounts. We have used most of us over most of us over here have already used, like these AI agents in VS Code. We can actually customize our VS Code, as we need it, and then we can have like pre-feed information to the VS Code, and then it basically solves our thing. It's quite interesting how far we have come with these AI agents. It's basically there's a real person doing all your tasks, but you don't really need a real person. And that's where AI agents transform the industry. We don't have to pay anyone to do our jobs, and as human labor requires specific skills. It requires certain amount of time to train. On the other hand, AI agents don't really take that much time, because these are fine-tuned from LLMs. All right, this is one of the important topics for this workshop. What enables generative AI agents? So what we will be using is, as we were talking about, like different types of AI agents. If I go over here, types of AI agents: data analysis, personal assistance, image recognition, video analysis. So in our case today, we'll be making like the Campus GPT. What we are doing is, it's not really generative AI based, but what we are specifically doing is we are pre-feeding information and we are getting the output from it. On the other case, if we have like more time and we want to make our very own personalized ASU assistant, what we can do with this, we can have these API calls. ASU does offer some free API calls for like certain services. Let's say use Eventbrite, right? Like to register for certain events. You can have these, foundation models like LLMs from Gemini 2.5 Pro. Google released the Gemini 2.5 Pro. I think you get like like a certain experimental limit, and it's free. It's free to use, unlike ChatGPT. So we can have like these pre-trained LLMs. One of the example is Palm, and the other example, I don't know if we have used Bison over here, but Bison text, what it does is it encodes the data, and it basically parses the information and gives us the information that we need. There are some certain retrieval augmented generation. So like, it stores the vector information and then semantic search to ground responses. Memory layers. Memory layers is a very complex topic. We're not going to dive into that, but a very brief, intro of it is, it's like short term, and then there you have these certain layers in your memory. You can think of it as more like DRAM, and then like hardware memory that we have. So memory and then storage. So to optimize search in LLMs, what we basically do is we have these memory layers. Okay, these are the certain tasks, or these are the certain responses that we've been needing at unprecedented rate. And those are stored in the memory layers, and those can be retrieved pretty quick compared to the tasks which are not really being used that often. Then we come on to prompt engineering. Okay, I think most of us over here have already heard about prompt engineering. Prompt engineering over the past 3 years, it has become quite big. There are all these jobs by most of the Mang companies, calling it Mang because it's like Meta now. But all these jobs in like prompt engineering, you have like a system, and then you have a tool, and then you are using like these user message schemas. So prompt engineering is very catered to a user's need, and these require like a large amount of time to train these models. That's basically what prompt engineering is about. We use neural networks to train our data, and we use some of the. I think I've listed some of the examples in the next thing. Let me take a look at that. Yeah, so one of the examples of prompt engineering is, we have these things over here. I was taking a look at the real world use cases of prompt engineering. Again, coming back to, making your own AI agent, which is very catered to the needs of the user who are specifically in data science. So there are these certain companies. I think we have used Cursor AI. How many of us over here have heard about Cursor AI, right? And so we have used Cursor AI. OpenAI is actually in talks to buy Cursor AI. You might have seen the news, but there are these certain companies which you can use, and they're offering all these prompt engineering things, and they're also like doing agentic AI stuff, and you don't really need a human for that. But again, it's very specific. It doesn't really cater to large scale needs. That's one of the things about that. Coming to the next slide, what we're going to discuss in today's presentation. So Vertex AI, we'll be using GCP, the Google Cloud Platform, and Vertex AI to make our CampusGPT. I have divided the workshop in 3 specific phases. First is the setup part. The second is enabling all these APIs, and then the third part is basically our code setup, and then we're gonna deploy it using the Docker. It's a container service. So what is Vertex AI? How many of us over here have already heard about Vertex AI? Did any of us over here? Okay. Last semester, there was this one event by Mr. Kareem Fatehi. He's a product engineering manager at Google. And he hosted this event at MU, and we had this 3-hour long coding workshop. He came all the way from Mountain View. And we had this really nice Google Cloud Hero event. So if any of us over here attended that, we might know what Vertex AI is. But just giving like a like a very brief information about Vertex AI. It's a unified managed ML platform. What do we mean by unified? So our last workshop was based on, if any of us over here attended that, was based on AWS services. AWS has Lambda, these functions which are like function as a service, and it has it has Lambda, which is function as a service, and then it has these Amazon Bedrock where you can enable generative AI. Similarly, Google Cloud Platform GCP gives us Vertex AI, which is a unified managed ML platform on Google Cloud. You can have these this one tool. It's known as Imagen by GCP, and you can all these AI model, large language models like Llama, and you can call because they have partnered with Llama. You obviously you can use Gemini. There are certain partners where you can like process these requests for free, and it just gives you like these image generation models. It gives you certain query to query generation models, and then it has certain built-in auto ML for like vision and text tabular. We already talked about text. So built-in generative AI, Vertex AI agents. This is one of the really important thing which Google launched last year in Google Cloud Next 2024. That was in April. Yeah. So what you can do is, managing the Google Cloud platform is quite important. But one of the other things is, let's say you don't really have a lot of time. They already have these certain Vertex AI agents. You can take the information and take the it's basically open source code. You can take the code base of those agents and you can customize them to your needs. That's one of the really cool things that Vertex AI does. So it's basically, you can think of it as it's basically a house for catering all your needs that are AI related. It also has APIs for Gemini. You can use Gmail. You can use YouTube. You can use APIs for Google Maps. Let's say you have to make your own very particular app which requires to use Google Maps. You can have the API for Google Maps. Some of the enterprise grade features I just mentioned over here, if we want to take a look at it, but we're not going to use it because again they're enterprise. But just in case if any of us over here like in future wants to engage in some like enterprise grade terms, or like we're entering that field, it has auto scaling endpoints. One of the best thing about auto scaling is it builds us to per millisecond. So we're not really build that much. It builds per millisecond, and then it's very user catered. Again, you don't have to like keep the track of servers because it's serverless. There are servers, but you don't really have to manage them. You just have to write these functions, and you don't have to take care of these requests because it provisions these requests on our behalf. All right. Coming to this Vertex AI workflow. I was thinking of like the main reason I mentioned it over here is this diagram will be very easy for us to understand. Let me open it over here. So, Harish, can you please dim the lights? The lights. Okay, yeah. Yeah. All right. So here's our prompt. We can see there's like a Vertex AI Studio UI. So I'll show you that over when we start working on the Google Cloud. But here's our prompt, which is basically what it's doing is it's a very clean UI. If we have used any other cloud platforms like Oracle or like Microsoft Azure, compared to that, I would say I personally like this very much. And AWS is also quite good, but the UI is very neat. You just have these texts and like images. You have these video demonstrations. It also offers you these tutorial services. These videos are just like 10 to 20 minutes. You watch these videos, and if you watch them like multiple times, you'll be like you can probably do them without like seeking any advice. Then there comes the like the RAG function calling method, which is what it basically does is it parses the information, and we have these foundation models. So in foundation models, we have Gemini, we have Llama because it's a partner of Google Cloud, and we also have Anthropic. So if any of us over here have used Claude before, it gives like free services for Claude. Not really the 3.7s on it, but it does give services for Claude 3.0. All right. It also has some of the open source, fine-tuned models. So we don't really have to have these models pre-built or like import these pre-built models. So it all like it already gives us these models over here. So here we give, like a nice prompt over here in the Vertex AI studio. And then it basically checks, like AI and safety. Let's say you give like like a dangerous prompt, or if we have used DeepSeek over here, if you ask certain questions which are not really, which DeepSeek doesn't want to answer, you might have seen certain trends about it. It will, like just tell you straight up front that this is not in my capabilities, or like this is beyond my capabilities. So what it does, it processes your request in the foundation models, and these foundation models, you have this, like model customization. So think of it as more as a backend service for customizing your own large language model. You can have your own fine-tuned large language model, and you can make, like these customizations. Like you can evaluate, let's say you have to make this one model for image generation, which Google Cloud offers through, Imagen using Vertex AI. So if we use, Imagen, let's say we have to produce these images of, a dog on a beach, and it's not really doing like a really good job. We can train these models and like fine tune it and then evaluate, and then based on that we can deploy it. And then there's like a citation checklist. Of course we have to do that. We don't have to like have any plagiarism. We have to make sure that it gives us all the citations. And that's one of the really cool things about Vertex AI. There are certain software, like there are certain SaaS services which don't really do specific tasks of giving you all the citations at once. But if any one of us over here have used Vertex AI, like Gemini, it just gives you all the citations. It even gives you access to like open GitHub repositories. Let's say there are certain open GitHub repos, and Perplexity, OpenAI, and Gemini does like a really good job in that. For example, let's say for one of our classes, machine learning class or any class, we have to make this CNN. Now we don't use. Let's say we are like a beginner and we don't really know what a CNN is. What are we gonna do? We're gonna go to GitHub, take a look at like an open repository, an open source repository, work it, or like work on it on our own, take a look at what's really going on over there, understand it line by line. So what it really does is it gives you really good citations, and it checks the citation for you, but in the response category it produces the citations for us. That's one of the good things about Vertex AI. So proceeding on with the like Vertex AI workflow. Why Vertex AI for AI agents? So why do we want to use Vertex AI? I mean, we can use other agents or like these other services. OpenAI provides us like a bunch of stuff, and why do we want to use Vertex AI? So one of the things which is very important, or we can think of it as imagine Google as a very big service. Over these past 30 years, we have searched all this data on Google, and it has information, like tons of information. Like just the Google Chrome, or like Google, or like YouTube, or let's say Gmail. There are certain things which Google does have access to, which we don't. I mean, when we create an account, we accept the terms and conditions. We do give access to Google for that. So the best thing about using Vertex AI is, or like one of the convenient facts is, it has native LLM integration. So we can use Gemini. If any one of us over here tried Grok, you know, if we tried Grok for image generation, we will see that it does a far better job compared to OpenAI, or like if you are using DALI, or if you are using any other generation models. The key factor behind that is Grok has been trained on all these data sets, which were like they're way before Mr. Musk bought Twitter, like way before he bought like Twitter. It has been trained all these data. So that's one of the things about Vertex AI. It has native LLM integration, instantly leverages Google's Vertex LLMs with built-in function calling. So it has been trained on all these informations, and it has a very grounding feature where you can connect these agents to Google search. I mean, we have used GPT 4.0. Certain GPT models have these search bar at the bottom, or like if we use DeepSeek, we click on that and like it searches the web for us. It provides us with citations, provides us with multiple links which we can access. Coming to multimodal capabilities. Okay, so it handles text, images, and audio seamlessly within a single agent. Most of the like platforms that we use today can do that. Most of them do have the capability for that. But again, certain models are very limited, and they're not really capable of seamlessly handling all that information. OpenAI does like a great job in that. Enterprise grade scalability and security. Again, we're not doing enterprise stuff over here, but just in case any of one of us over here, like in future goes in enterprise, we know that it gives us really secure and like scalable stuff. And it's like it has all these pre-fed information which have been Google has been a very reliant company for that. Okay, this is basically the last slide of the presentation. After that, we'll be proceeding on with building our CampusGPT AI builder. Talking about Vertex AI agent builders. So, there's this one thing about Vertex AI where we are using all these models to like generate images, or like generate text, or like generate information for us, like scratching through the web. But the key information which Vertex AI leverages compared to other agent builders over there, what it does is one of the cool facts is it has built-in tool integrations. Again, most of us over here have used like Apple Maps and Google Maps, and still we want to use like Google Maps because it's seamless. It has instant page loading. It has very less latency. All these key factors. And for example, YouTube. We can use YouTube, and like we can have these things using Google Docs. We have used MS Word, and if we have shared these documents with our like if multiple people have been working on a certain document, we will see that it's not really seamless. So the integration is very seamless with all these technologies, and it's just basically one-click deployment. We just like click it, and like it's wonderfully deployed. We don't really have to take care of the infrastructure. All right, talking about the main things. So what are we building today? So we are building CampusGPT. CampusGPT, I just thought of keeping the name CampusGPT because it's cool. Again, it's like ChatGPT, CampusGPT. What we are doing is it's like an ASU-based AI agent where you can ask certain questions. For example, you can ask these questions like, when's the fall registration starting? And you don't want to search that on the web. You don't want to go on the ASU website. You want to ask, okay, whose classes are still open for registration? That's a very later on case, which we can probably do, but we'll have to, like use some API calls for that. It's going to do the class search for you. What we can do is, have these amazing class search. So let's say we're taking CSE 230, and certain professors in CSE 230, they have very, like very few seats left right after the class starts. We don't want to go and do like the whole ASU sign in, and like we don't want to take so much time in that. So we have Campus GPT for that. But for today, we basically have this chatbot, and that's like it's gonna answer you like ASU FAQs. The technologies we are using, so Streamlit, the front end is built using Streamlit. It's very lightweight. That's one of the really cool things about Streamlit. You just open it in the web browser, takes very less memory, and it's very seamless and also has low latency. Generative backbone, we are using text Python. I think I talked about it earlier, but basically what we are using it for is it will parse information. It will parse text for us. We have pre-fed information, and then it will parse information for that. And then we have knowledge context, ASU FAQs, which are like stored in like FAQs.txt file. And then authentication and containerization we are doing using Docker. We will be using Docker for deploying our project. All right, let's get started. So you guys can go and search this website on your browser, or if you want to scan the QR, whatever works. Once we all are done, we get started with building Campus GPT. Right? I think we all are good. So let's get started. Are we all on this page? Do you guys need any help? Okay. Cool. We all are on this page. We all should be able to access it. I'm gonna keep it in the background. So, okay. First things first, let's open Google Cloud. Not really sure if all of us over here have made a Google Cloud account before, but if you don't have a Google Cloud account, that's no worries. We don't have to worry about that. We can create a Google Cloud account right now. You guys want to go and like create like a Google Cloud account, we can wait for like 2 minutes and then we can get started with it. You just have to sign in with your ASU ID, and Google Cloud gives us $300 free in like credits for like I think 90 days. So we don't have to pay for anything. All right, it's 6:56. Let's get started with building the app at 6:58. Right. Can you guys give like a hands up if you guys are done with the Google Cloud account thing? All right. Still have 1 minute, so if you guys are not done, I can totally understand. We can wait and get started with it. Also, by the way, quick thing, guys. So we have already provided everything on Notion. So just in case, Google Cloud can be a bit complex if we have not worked with it before. So we're already live streaming it and it will be uploaded on our YouTube channel. You guys can go back home later and feel free to take a look. You don't really have to code along, but you can code later at home. All right, let's get started. So you guys can all probably see my screen. So once we are in Google Cloud, we'll be able to see console on the top right. We have to click on console. Assuming most of us over here are using our ASU account for the console, what we have to do is, you can select the organization over here. I have already created a folder over here, but I'm gonna tell you how to do that. So let's say we have, selected the asu.edu organization. We're gonna go on and click on create or, select a project. Once we have selected asu.edu, you'll be clicking on new project. And name into CampusGPT workshop, organization, asu.edu. For location, we can click on unmanaged for now. That's fine. Once you're done with that, you can click on create. If you're creating that for the first time, we'll get a notification over here. In like the notifications, it will say that, the project has been created, like create project CampusGPT workshop, like this. We will be selecting our project. We'll be clicking on CampusGPT workshop. Also, if any one of us over here are creating the account for the first time, we will get this message which says, like accept $300 credit, like activate your full account. Just click on that, and that should be fine. All right, once we're done with that, we'll be clicking on API and services, and we'll click on library. This one's mainly for enabling all the API services like the Vertex AI API, and then the Cloud Run API, the Cloud Build, which we'll be using to deploy the project. So I'll search for Vertex AI API. Since I already created this project, so I enabled them like at my end, but we will see like an option for enabling it. So we can click on enable. Again, guys, all of this has been mentioned over here. So if you guys need help with anything, just raise your hand. and one of us will be there. Harish is at the back, he'll help you out. One of us will be there to help you out. So this is the part that we're going on right now. Like we enable Vertex AI API. We have to enable Google Cloud Run API. I have enabled all of these again, but just showing you the exact APIs that we need to enable. For this one, if we already enable the first three APIs, we'll probably see that, it has already been enabled and you won't need to enable it, even if you're creating the account for the first time. The reason behind that is since, our account is being managed by ASU's organization, like it's under an organization, it's already enabled for us. And at last, we have to enable IAM. It's basically used to, like manage the users. For us, we're gonna manage it because, we are the ones that have control for our project. All right, if we're done with that, we have completed the first phase of the project, which is basically setting up the account and then enabling the APIs. So if you guys are done with that, I'm gonna proceed on with the next steps. If anyone needs any help, just raise your hand. Harish will help you out. He's at the back, and Han is here as well. She can help you out as well. After phase two, guys, what we'll do is we'll take like a quick pizza break after phase two, and then we can proceed on with the phase three. And at the end, we'll have like a Kahoot quiz where Luan will be talking about Simplify, and he'll be telling you about more about Simplify Plus. All right, the second phase is we have to go in our Google Cloud Services and then click on IAM and admin. And then we have to go on service accounts. So over here, we will see that there's only one, service account. This is one of the most important part of the workshop. This is exactly where we will be creating our own AI agent. This is the part where it all happens. So this is a custom made, like the to client ID, which we get for our, Google Cloud account. What we need to do is we need to create a service account. And we click on create. We click CampusGPT agent. We're gonna name it to CampusGPT agent. And then we have to select anything for this. Create and continue. In the roles, we have to add certain roles. So we have to add Vertex AI user. We have to add three roles mainly. So the first is Vertex AI user. The next is Cloud Run Invoker. The reason we are creating all these roles is, the Vertex AI user, what it does for us is, it handles requests on our behalf. The second one, the Cloud Run Invoker, what it does is, we will be deploying our project on the cloud. That's what it does for us. And the third option is we will be enabling storage object viewer. So the third rule, storage object viewer, it will be used to store the data that we're going to give it for, like our campus GPT builder. It will have these pre-text information, basically pre-fed .text file, which we'll be creating. Then we will click on continue. For this, we don't really have to select anything. We can click on done because this is optional and we don't have to give access to anyone else. Now what we need to do is, we can see over here that our campus GPT agent has been built. Everyone is. And then we click on actions. We have to create an API key for it. So I'll click on manage keys. Again, guys, all of this has been mentioned over here. So if you guys need help with anything, just raise your hand and let me know. But I have basically updated it all over here in the Goshen document. So if we are not following along right now, because I can understand it can be a bit overwhelming, look out for the first time if we are using it. Because most of us over here are, like freshmen in sophomore. We haven't really had any cloud courses before. So you can follow along later. We'll click on add key, create new key. We'll hit JSON and we'll click create. All right. So we'll see that there will be, like a JSON key that has been stored over there. So if we open it, let me show you guys the key. This is our key. We don't have to copy it or anything. We just have to keep it stored over there. We'll be uploading this key when we make our, our files in phase 3. All right. This is up until phase 2. We're going to take a nice break now, and then we'll proceed on with the phase 3. All right, we all can line up for pizzas. It's pizza time, guys. And we're going to proceed on with phase 3 later.
And that's like, all right. Let's do like one on this side, one on the other.
The semester.
And then this is
Pretty much most of it.
That's right.
Yeah, I just got started.
Oh, that's all.
It's like 3 hours.
So we have cheese over here and then vegetarian.
Grab one slice for now, and then later you can grab another
Yeah,
one.
well, only
If
one
we have
slice
it.
for now, and then if it's extra, you can come back for seconds.
Easy to adapt. Set it up. How's it? Building.
It's good, I got a lot of it.
Yeah, she set up.
You could have put a credit card.
But we're not using anything for. Plus, checking my. Yeah. Go ahead.
By the way, guys, until we're taking a break, wanted to show you guys how the app basically looks like. So since we're coding it all from scratch again, we cannot, like, I cannot show you live demonstration until we are done with phase 3 because we're coding from scratch. But this is how it looks like. So you go in over here. This is just a screenshot uh, that I took when I, like deployed it live after like, like doing the Docker thing. So you go over here, it starts with like, like Campus GPT with Gemini, and you can basically click on like anything. I have pre-fed about 10 sets of questions, and you go and like ask any one of these questions. It basically returns you a value. But another way to do that is, you can have these API calls, and like those are attached to some ASU open policies, and then you can fetch information. That's what it will do for you. Once you guys are done, we can proceed on with the phase 3, and then we'll talk about Simplify, and we will have a Kahoot quiz, and we will give out Simplify Plus.
All right, let's get started with phase 3. So for phase 3, let me show you what we are gonna do first, and then we'll go. Okay. So what we have to do is we have to go in our Cloud Shell. Now there's two ways to do that. What we can do is, either we can create all these files on VS Code, and then we, like access our Google Cloud Shell using our VS Code, like our, our Macs or Windows terminal. But I have went to the easy way. We are gonna do it all through the Cloud Console, so we don't have to, if we have not worked with, like cloud, or like we haven't done like any bash scripting before, it will be very easy for us. We have to like directly launch it using that. We don't have to establish a connection. We don't have to go all through that. One of the even easier method can be, if you guys want to, like follow along, what we can do is, so we see these files over here, like the main.py, which is our main Python file, which is controlling these functions on our behalf. If you want, you can go in VS Code or any, any IDE, save these files, FAQs .text, and like requirements.txt, Docker file, and Docker ignore. Once you have saved all these files, you can upload all these on your Google Cloud. So you won't even have to create it. That's like, like one of the easier method. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna type in the commands, and we're gonna do it right now. So we're gonna activate Cloud Shell. It will ask you for a request. Once we authorize it, it's gonna provision resources on our behalf. All right. Once we're over here, we will see that it shows us this one thing. We have this one thing over here, which shows this Campus GPT workshop. We see this yellow thing. What we're gonna do is we're gonna create a directory, Campus GPT, and we will cd into Campus GPT. Again, guys, I've given all these commands on the Notion page, so if it's like a bit hard to follow along, you can take a look at the Notion page. So since we have to cover it, I'll try to keep moving. If you have any doubts, just raise your hands, and Han and Harish will be there to help you out. Second, guys, sometimes the Google Cloud Shell acts up and we have to like provision it all over again. For some reason, when I was like creating a directory, it wasn't returning any value in the terminal. So we have to do it again. Actually, I have an even better idea. Let's try that. So we open our VS Code or any IDs that you guys want up until it loads because it takes time sometime. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna click on new file, text file. I've given the code over here to the main.py file, copy it, paste it. All right. I'm gonna name it to main.py, keep it in my downloads folder. And I click on a new text file. The next file is the faqs.txt. I will save it as FAQs. Saved as a text file. Text file. The next is requirements. So this is basically used for like running Streamlit, which is again basically a very low latency and like very light software that we are using to deploy our basically run our app on our campus GPT as we call it. We're gonna copy this, create a new text file, paste it over here, save it as requirements.txt. Then create a Docker file. The reason we are creating a Docker file is we need to create this Docker file. The only reason is because we are doing this thing where we are containerizing our application because we are we are making campus GPT, so we have to wrap it all around and like deploy it. That's the reason why we need Docker for it. A quick intro of Docker. If we haven't used Docker before, it's more like imagine it as more like how we have used VMs before, virtual machines like Java virtual machines, JVM. What Docker does for is we have Docker where we don't have to have all the infrastructure, where we are basically writing the function and it basically performs these functions on our behalf. Name it as Docker file. All right, done. One thing more that I wanted to tell you guys. So if we do all this using VS Code, right now we are only using VS Code to create these files and upload them to our Cloud Shell. So we're not like hosting using VS Code. Like we're not gonna launch it using VS Code. We're gonna launch it using the GCP. But if we are doing that using VS Code, what we have to do is we have to have Docker installed on our local machine if we are like launching this app locally. But we're doing it on GCP. That's one of the like the really good factors. We don't really have to go all through that. Let's see if all right. So it's over here. Perfect. We created a directory, as we all can see. we're gonna go nano main.py. What nano does for is if we have used Vim or nano before, we already know what it does is, creates this file descriptor over here. And what we're gonna do is Control O, enter. We're done with creating our main file. Now we have to create our FAQs.txt file, right? Now what we have to do is, nano FAQs.txt. We're gonna create the text file. Once we're done with the FAQs.txt file, we have to create a requirements file that I was talking about over here. And now at last, we have to create a Docker file. If you guys followed along in VS Code and already did that, what you can do is if you saved in whichever folder, I'll show you how you can just upload it. That's very easy. One of the reasons I usually prefer doing it through the Google Cloud shell is you don't have to move between directories, because once you are, like containerizing your app, you have to make sure that all the directories are correct. Otherwise, it won't build your application. Now, the last part is of creating a Docker ignore file. All right, in our docker.ignore, I think we all are good until here. Now I will show you how to upload your file. Before that, if you guys remember, we had that JSON key, right? When we click on create new API key and there was a .json file which was downloaded. We're going to use that right now. So in total, we will have 6 files. 5 files that we created, the main.python file, which what the task of the main.py file is basically writing the UI for our app, and it handles all the logic. FAQs.txt, it's basically handling the data that we're feeding it. In case over here, if I show you over here, it has these 10 questions that when does the fall semester start? So it's like the fall semester begins on like August 21, 2025. Just to keep this very lightweight, I have made like these sets of questions which I found online. But what we can do is we can train it on a huge database, and then it's basically a smart AI assistant for like ASU. All right, once we're done with this, let's click on upload. So if we see upload over here in our files, like the 3 dots that we see in the Google Cloud Shell, hit on upload, click on choose files. I think this was the one that I downloaded. Yeah, so I can see this key over here, CampusGPT workshop.json. We kept the same name, then it should be CampusGPT.json. Just click on upload. Also, by the way, guys, just forgot to do this. We have to rename it to service underscore account.json. The reason for that is the commands that we are running renames the file to service account.json. Uh, this one that I'm renaming it to one, it's like the file from the previous build that I made. It's not mandatory that we have to keep this name, but the thing is, like, when we make the build, the commands are altered to this. I click over here, upload files. Hit upload. All right. So shows over here, transferred one item, it has been uploaded. Just to check that we have all the files, we know that we can use the ls command. In case over here, we are using LSA because we have to check if the .docker ignore file is over there or not. If we don't use, like dash a, it doesn't really show the ignore file. All right, so we can see that, the .docker ignore faqs.txt main.py and like, requirements.txt docker file, all of them are over here. But we can see the service account JSON file is over here, like, in this over here. So we have to move this file. If you guys need any help, just raise your hands, and if you guys have any questions at all. I understand that this might be a bit, overwhelming, because to be very honest, this workshop it takes some time to do that.
You build a container outside of Campus GPT or inside?
Inside, yeah,
Inside,
inside the
okay.
Campus GPT, because we're gonna wrap it. Yeah. Harish? So we'll take like a quick 2-minute break. You guys have any questions related to directories? Right, guys?
What's are we right now?
So this is one of the final most command of our,
Don't worry.
of our project. So what we're going to do now is we're gonna build our app. Up until now, we have created all these files, we have done all this process. We're gonna build our app now. I've given this command over here. You guys want to?
All the files, right?
Right, I just double checking the main UI.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's just this that one has changed. I got a match with the project name that I have, right?
We did this command over here.
Or did you, are you?
You
I
guys
already
can copy
did
it.
before. I just double check if there's any more that I need to change, but I think it's only that one. Once I got a match with the project.
Yeah, it should be fine, right?
The rest of them is pretty much the same.
All right. So we can see that the app has started building. Make sure that you are in the correct directory where the Docker file is, because if the app hasn't been containerized, it won't do that, and it will throw you an error, just like it's doing right now, invalid value. Also, guys, one thing that I was thinking, we have already provided all the code over there. We'll be, like over time, if I show you like demo and stuff, we will do the demo, like we can do the Docker part, and then I can show you like how to run, like run the thing, and like how to deploy it later. We can do it, but I'll upload it on YouTube. But we can get done with, Kahoot quiz and simplify. All right, so over here, what we are doing is, if we can see is, these warnings, we don't really have to care about them, because what's happening is it, you can see this thing over here. You don't have to worry about all these warnings. It's just, like running these GIP requests. So it's like installs the latest version of the project.
Should be like successful. It's my ear.
I wonder if it's. Skip.
No.
All right, so we can see over here shows status success, Okay, the Zoom thing is over there. So if we see over here, it shows a status success. If we have been able to do up until that point, it's a very happy moment for us technically, because we have finally because we have finally built our AI agent. We did not get any errors. If you guys did not get any errors, and if you guys were able to follow up until this point, we were able to do that. Now deploying takes about 10 to 15 minutes. It's not pretty quick. So I'll show you guys the command for like deploying, and we're not going to do that right now, otherwise we'll be like over time. But let me show you guys the command for like deploying. Pretty quick. I've actually mentioned it over here. So it's like if we remember, like the permissions that we attach, like the policy is over here. So using this command, gcloud run deploy campus GPT, what we're doing is we are creating like an image of it. We know like what images are, it's basically an instance, and we are creating an image of it, and it gets deployed. And then, a region US central one, what it does is, Google Cloud servers, you're basically mentioning the location and allow unauthenticated. We need allow unauthenticated because once we deploy our app, I'll show you how to actually do that pretty quick, but we won't do that right now because we have to get on with the Kahoot as well. So over here, after we run the command, it will show over here, like in more, you will see an option of open in browser, and you can open it in, by default, the port is like 8080. You can launch it in that port, and it will, show you the streaming application in the browser. And this is how it will look like. Let me show you guys. I think I had the screenshot. This is how it will look like once it's deployed. But just to deploy it, it takes about like 15 minutes to do that. So we're not going to do that right now. All right, guys, that will be all for the workshop. We're gonna do the Kahoot, and Luan first he's gonna talk about Simplify. But thank you all for coming, and I hope you guys enjoyed making the Campus GPT builder. I can understand again, like it can be a bit overwhelming because this topic again was like pretty much in depth. So thanks a lot, guys. You want to start? Yeah, you can just start. Okay, are you good?
Hello. Hi, everyone. So today I'm here to talk about Simplify. Does anyone know what Simplify is? If you could raise your hand if you know what Simplify is or use it before. There's not a lot of people here, but when I was at Soda, there's like 50% of people over there know what Simplify is. So basically what we are is we are an AI co-pilot system to make your job search easier. We are backed by Y Combinator. So it's basically like Harvard for startup. So it's pretty good. We raised over, I think, $2 million back in 2021, and we're still up and running. As of 2025, I think we have over 2 million users in the US. So enough of that. So how it got started is there's a guy named Michael in there. So he started Simplify is because he applied to a lot of jobs, and it sucks because you have to manually like input the stuff in there. So he dropped out of Stanford, and he makes Simplify. So yeah. One of our best feature is Simplify Copilot. It's basically where it's like autofill everything for you. So it's very that's like the most popular feature. But other feature that we also have is like job matching engine. Basically, like you input your resume in there, and it's like matches your job with like your resume with other jobs. And then we also have like job tracker. I use Simplify. I think I applied to like over 1,000 jobs using Simplify. So it helps me a lot. And then we also have like resume builder and reviewer. So these things are like for like premium subscription, which you're gonna get after you play the Kahoot game today. This is a flyer. You can scan the QR code to know more about the website, but I can do the demo for you later if you want to. But definitely check it out if you are in the job search. Yeah, that's it.
All right, guys, we're gonna have the Kahoot now. You can scan the Kahoot link and
you know, it's basically based on what we talked about in the workshop.
some of that and some of the previous builds on stuff. All right, guys, here's the game pin if you guys want to join it. And the winner gets the Simplify Plus subscription. You guys can apply for millions of jobs. Answer. All right, let's see. Oh, it's pretty intense. 35 of us got the correct answer. All right, coming on to the next question. We're bored. All right. Which model type powers most AI agents? LLM, CNN, RNN, or SVM? We already talked about it. Hopefully, all of us are gonna get the correct. Oh, amazing! Pretty quick. All right, coming on to the next question. Ooh. I don't know who that is, but yeah, it's fine.
Gonna cancel your subscription.
They're not gonna get the Simplify Plus subscription, whoever has that link. What lets agents call external tools? Hopefully, all of us get this correct. I'll be very happy. If we end up in the top 5, if all of us get the correct answers, I'll be like, okay, I did a good job with the workshop. Come on, guys. All of us got it. Function calling, AutoML, data ingestion, or model fine tuning? Function calling, exactly. That's what we talked about. Oh. I mean, if you win the Simplify, we're gonna find that out who that is, like the one with the name on the top, so that's fine. Which behavior level uses memory or like embeddings? Reactive, self-improving, tool-enabled, or contextual? Exactly. Contextual. We talked about that memory thing. I think it was like slide 7. Oh, scoreboard changed pretty quick. Multi-agent systems involve. What do they involve? One model, single turn Q&A, multiple specialized agents, or manual scripts.
Exactly. They have multiple specialized agents. We were talking about multi-agent systems in the types of AI agents slide. What does RAG stand for? Can I participate? Real-time AI generation, reactive agent guide, rule-based agent group, or retrieval augmented generation.
See the scoreboard.
Oh, simplify is at the top. Okay, that's nice. Simplify, yeah. My bad. Vertex AI is a platform for only vision models, end-to-end ML workflows, on-device training, or offline analytics. I'm quite curious who marked only vision models. Agent Builder offers, right? Code only SDK or drag and drop workflow, video rendering, manual deployments.
This next question is going to be the toughest.
All right, so Harish says next
Question is going to be the toughest because he made the the Kahoot. So if you guys don't win, just blame it on him. So
Not this one, actually.
oh. This is easy. You got it.
Now comes the last question. Yes. Right now we have on top.
Oh,
All right, guys. What's the correct answer? If you guys have attended our workshops in the past, you might know the correct answer.
yeah. So
All of these are correct, actually. They're all wrong.
That's actually in our charter. That's the important thing. It's just like ASU, GDSC has different names, DSC at ASU or GDG at ASU. Now they renamed it to as GDG. Google said, okay, we're not going to call you GDSC anymore. You guys are Google developer groups on campus. All right, so Viva, you win the Simplify Plus. Okay. All right.
How would you say, Viva or Viva?
Was it like like the test Viva or Viva?
It's the second one, Viva.
Okay, do you want to come here? You can get a picture with Luan, because